All right, this is going to be more of a general RPG rant video. Not a rant, but just kind of me going on a tangent, just whatever. Not really a guided thing. I kind of was inspired by this, by Tim Harper's video about GM roles, player roles. It's like a 28-minute video. And it got me thinking about stuff. And then I saw another video by the Gentleman Gamer talking about immersion and how it's not really his thing, and how he kind of is more into the stuff he was talking about was more character immersion. And so it was more of just part of what immersion's about. And I know I've said I don't really like talking about immersion, so this video will probably be a whole slew of just general RPG topics kind of thrown together. So hopefully it doesn't get too long. I'll try to keep it shorter. But one of my first thoughts when Tim was talking about role-playing, and in the Gentleman Gamers video talking about role-playing, one of the things that came to mind was a lot of role-playing instead of dice rolling. And I know well, I guess before I get into that, a while back, Wood WWAD had mentioned that you can role play with dice rolling, and there's no reason it should necessarily be pulling you out of the experience. And I agree with that. Haven't played in a lot of groups that really do a lot of role playing, honestly. But if that's what you're into, there's no excuse just because you have to roll dice that you shouldn't be role playing. So anyways, my original point was a lot of role playing, for instance, just character conversations back and forth, isn't necessarily good role playing. I don't believe that the quantity of role playing is necessarily quality role playing. And I also don't necessarily agree that heavy role playing is less dice rolling. I think that when some people I've talked to, it seems they're more into the quantity of role playing over the quality. And me, I personally, much like I think the Gentleman Gamer, the way he explained it, sounds like I'm just there to have fun. Whether I need to say a joke or whatever, I just want to have fun. If it's a funny joke, sure. Obviously, there's a line when people do too many jokes during a game that can be kind of obnoxious. But I'm there to have a good time, and interact with friends, family, whoever I'm playing with. And I think that the mindset that, you have to be a quality role player and you have to role play a lot the whole time or else you can't play with us, kind of limits your group. One, the quality of role play is really dictated by a person's ability to role play. It's not... Some people just aren't good at it, and it doesn't come natural to them, whereas others are good at it. And just because you've done it a long time doesn't mean you're good at it, I played sports growing up, baseball, football, basketball, floor hockey. I never couldn't afford to play ice hockey growing up, but played a lot of sports all growing up. And there are people that I played with from the time I was 4 years old in t-ball, for example, up through high school, that just never were good at it. And there were some kids who only played for a couple years who were great at it. And so I don't think just because you've been doing it a long time makes you good at something. And I think a lot of people tend to respect others who have done it for a long time, which, most of the time there is some kind of correlation. If you've done it for a long time, then obviously you're going to be better than someone who's probably done it a couple times. But it's not always necessarily the truth behind the matter. Like I said, this is going to be a video where I kind of just ramble and jump back and forth. But anyways, back to my point that it limits some groups and their players. If you're just there for that role play, that interaction and not there for the good time you're having with your friends and the overall experience, I think you're limiting yourself based on your players' abilities, and your GM's abilities as well. Whereas I think if you're just there a little more open-minded, a little more loose, I think you are more likely to have a good time and just create memories. Now, good role plays don't always necessarily create memories either. I mean, a lot of times they can. But for me, I really enjoy the times I can look back and say, oh, do you remember that time we lit that halfling rogue on fire and threw him over the bar, at the ogre or something, just something kind of funny that, okay, it's not necessarily the most realistic thing and, whatever, but it was a memorable experience and it was fun at the time. That's kind of why I play. Now, onto immersion a little bit. The Gentleman Gamer was talking about 100% immersion being LARPing and things like that. And, 100% immersion I don't necessarily think is even possible. 100% immersion is truly believing, I think you are something. Like, oh, I am a wizard. I can cast spells. Watch me jump off this cliff and fly. I don't think you can achieve 100% immersion in character. Out of character you can, and I think the difference between immersion in character and immersion out of character would be immersion out of character just means you're really into the game. Maybe you have a kid that's in the other room saying mommy, mommy, or daddy, daddy, and you just are so into the game you don't even hear them. So you could be 100% immersed out of character in the game. And I think that is what a lot of people tend to mean when they want to be immersed. You just want to be in the moment in the game. Then I think other people kind of get confused and think that when some people in the brigade are talking about immersion, they mean strictly in character. Now, immersion in character is good. And back to what others have said, I think that when you have a group of, say, 4 or 5 people, and one person decides, oh, I'm going to get up and go get another drink. They can hear everything that's going on, but that irritates other people because it takes them out of their character. I think that's a little silly. Now, again, I know there's a line somewhere, and it depends on the person and the group for what becomes obnoxious. I personally don't really care if a player gets up and goes and gets something to drink, gets up, goes to the bathroom, whatever. That's fine. I'm just going to assume their character's just going with the rest of the group and just not doing anything or saying anything until that player comes back and decides to make a move. So it doesn't take me out of it for the most part. And I think you need to be able to do that because I personally can't sit there for 10 hours straight and play without having to get up and get a drink or go to the bathroom or get something to eat. I like to be able to sit there and, have my drink, have, something to snack on, and that'd be fine. I'm not going to sit there and be like, oh my gosh, that person was eating chips the whole time and it was annoying because their character wasn't eating in game or something. I mean, that's a really extreme case, but and I think that's what bothers me about some of our conversations in the brigade about these topics is that I think because sometimes we tend to talk about the more negative than the positive, and how annoying problem players can be, or how I would just kick them out of my game, or and then others, for instance, Bash did a video the other day. I'm touching on a lot of videos, but Bash did a video the other day is when do you draw the line and say, hey, you're banned? And I'd commented on that video, I think. Maybe I didn't comment on it. And you know what? I'll save that for another video, but I'll do another video after this about that. But I think it's important that, we try not to focus so much on the negative, because I don't think I think genuinely, if you get a group together that's willing to play, I think there's more positive than negative. And maybe that's just because I'm more laid back than some people. I am able to adapt to different groups really well, I think. And so I just think we should more focus on the positive. If I was a new player and I was coming across if I was coming across some of these videos, I think that role-playing games would sound like it's difficult, and it would sound like a lot of it would just sound difficult, I guess. And I personally don't think it's difficult at all. In fact, for the most part, I've had really good experiences playing. And so the worst experience I can even think of didn't even have to do with me. It was a group of players that were picking on someone who, kind of, and it wasn't even a group, it was a couple people at the table that were picking on somebody that I think had a reason for the way they were and the way they play. They weren't, I don't know, they have some sort of maybe handicap or disability or something. Couldn't tell you what it was. And so I thought that was unfair. So that's my only negative experience, and that's just people in general. Had nothing to do with role-playing games, problem players, or anything like that. It just had to do with the character of a couple people. Normal life situation. So, yeah, I mean, with that said, I'm going to keep 2014 positive, and my next video will be about problem players, or where you draw the line in response sort of to Bash's comments. So, yeah, hopefully I kept this short enough. I don't know what time it's up to, but anyways, that's it. So, thanks. Bye.